Good morning, good morning, good morning. I see you just made it in. Hello, K-Love. Hey, Stillwaters. I was in here chatting with you guys. Cherry Hill made it in. Extra said, "Where's my Kleenex?" I know, gets me every time. This is the heaviest case we have. It really is. Every turn we make in this case is another punch in the throat. It is something else. But as I said last Friday, we're going to do a show about the suspects. As some would say, a deep dive. We're going to do a deep dive. Now, I'm going to need everybody. I'm just giving you a heads up. I invited one of the suspects to come on today. Now, there's only two in jail, so play process of elimination with me and figure out which one it could be. Would it be Adrian? Would it be Brandon? No one else has been named. And I know that this person has the link. So we're just going to let this person talk. And we're just going to be cool like we always are. And see what happens. See what happens. Don't worry, because we're here for Michael 100%. So before we get to all of that, let's get to the comments from the last show. And please remember that everything that goes on this show is for the greater good of Michael. If you need to excuse yourself, please do. Please do. And like I said, we will see what happens. But like I said, we did make it to Friday. This is a big weekend for old Brooks. My anniversary is tomorrow. The birthday of the channel, 2 years, is on Sunday. So we got to figure out how to do a members live this weekend because we got celebrating to do. Yes, we do. Before we get to all that, let's get to the comments. All right. Jen C said, "I lost a child and time heals nothing. You just learn to navigate it broken. The day we lose a child, the day plays over and over in our heads. I realize very fast the world doesn't stop just because yours has." Oh, that was such a hard comment to read. And Jen C, I'm so sorry about your baby. I'm so sorry. And thank you for sharing that with us, because that's something that, people need to hear. Just because your world stopped doesn't mean that the world stops. You have to continue. You have to take care of other children. You have to eat, shower, go to work. And that just, that was a really hard comment to read. Barb, Idaho in summer, said, "I'm heading back to Idaho from Arizona soon for graduations. Posters will be distributed along the way." I think that is a wonderful idea. I know that law enforcement has said that they believe he is deceased, Michael Vaughn, but we don't know where he could be. You see, with all of their taxi travels and their trip down through Texas into New Mexico, they took a very weird route to get into New Mexico. Yeah. Put it around. Put him around. Jimbo said, "Michael is the only victim. I don't know why you don't realize that." Okay, I never said Michael's not a victim. I never said that. But here we can spread it around. We can spread it around. Yes, we know 100% Michael is the victim. Michael is hands down 1,000,000% the victim. But we can also sympathize with his siblings, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, the community who doesn't know which way to look because they're afraid that somebody might grab their child, and the Fruitland police, because I don't believe that anyone on that force has ever gotten into anything so dark. So it's okay to feel sympathy and have it go all the way around. Yes, 100%. Michael is the victim. Jinx, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate it. Izzy's coming in strong. Thank you for the super sticker, Izzy. Love you guys. Love your support. We're going to need it today. We're going to need it today. So like I said, we're talking about the suspects today. Talking about the suspects. We're going to start with an article from the East Idaho News that talks about what Sarah told the police the night they served their warrant. Yes, that video I put on the members tab yesterday of Buggy. Whoa. Whoa. That was so hard to see. She's just a little girl. She doesn't understand what's going on. She doesn't understand what's going on. And this right here remains true. Someone cannot go missing without someone knowing something somewhere. They have to know. They have to know. Police don't just pull names out of their ass and just start saying these people are the suspects without evidence that they know that they have to provide to a district attorney, the FBI, and to a jury of 12 soon. And it will be coming down the pike. They can't do that. They can't just say, I'm going to pick out these 4 people in the neighborhood. They seem a little weird to me. No, it don't work that way. All right, I'm going to bring up Lana, and we have another guest backstage. It's not one of the suspects yet. Her name is Maud. And we're just going to say hi to everybody. Welcome our guests, and we're going to get to it. Hello, Maud. Hello, Lana.
Good morning, Brooks. Thank you so much for having me up, and as always, continuing, your commitment to keeping Michael's face on your channel. And everyone that's listening, I love this community so much. Thank you so much for always sharing Michael's story. I appreciate being here.
Oh, this is the best community. I'm telling you, they're here for the right reasons. What did you think about that comment I got? I don't even know who this person is. Who the hell's Jimbo? Saying Michael's the only victim. I mean, have I ever said Michael's not a victim?
Right. I was in chat. You didn't have me up yet. So I said in chat that I agree. Michael is 1000% the ultimate victim in this situation. However, his family are also victimized by this. There's no way to say that they are not victimized by this. And as you had said, his siblings, and bringing up the video that, you were allowed to share of Buggy on the members only tab. Buggy, now 3, who was not even 2 years old. She was barely 1 when Michael went missing. Is constantly talking about her brother. I know we've shared that before, but it's different when you witness it in person. This little tiny girl just missing her big brother so bad, and that is trauma.
And in that video, she said, I want to go to Monkey's house.
Yeah, she wants to go to Monkey's house. When she's asked if she's been to Monkey's house, she says no. But Monkey's, told her about his house.
Ugh.
It is. It's so incredibly sad, Stacey. And I think about, when we are traumatized, and as Brooke mentioned, even the community. I have a friend who actually unfortunately passed in a car accident in February. I grew up with in Payette, and she lived over there with all of her children. And she just was petrified to even allow her kids to go out in, the front yard. And there was even a time where one of her children, I think it was her 8-year-old, did just that, like took off on a bike with friends to ride around the block without telling her. And she had an absolute meltdown over that.
I can
Nobody in this
imagine.
community feels safe.
No, no, because when a child is in the 1% and they have just been taken from outside their home, there was a story on Facebook. I have to find it. And it was a woman in Joplin, Missouri. She was at like a Target, something like that, a bigger store. Okay. I'm probably telling the story wrong, but you guys can fill it in. And anyway, her daughter got away from her. So she's looking for her daughter in the store. Well, this guy grabbed her daughter and was trying to get out of the store with her. Well, there was people in the store chasing this dude down. She was mortified. Now he's in jail now because we don't just grab kids because they're wandering around the store. You take them to the store manager and say, "Can you make an announcement over the PA? This little girl got lost in the store." You
Right.
don't grab them and try to put them in your car.
No, I've actually found children wandering the store, right? I mean, I think, I don't know, being a mom or being aware, I've seen it happen. I've seen little people walking around Target crying, and, you see that look on their face. And I just, I do the right thing. I kind of keep my distance. I don't touch them. I don't come up in their space. And I just say, "Hey, are you lost? Are you looking for your mom?" And if they say, yeah, I say, "Okay, well, let's go find an employee together. Why don't you go ahead and put your hand on my cart?" And I walk them to an employee. And as I'm walking them to an employee, I say just that. Let's find the nearest employee. You never leave a store with a stranger. Find an employee till they'll help you find your mom. And that's what you do. Yeah, you don't take them and run out of the store. I don't want to get way off on this, but I need to tell you about this, Brooks. But just recently, a friend of mine in Glendale, California, she lives in a condo complex, and her 4-year-old daughter was taken and missing for almost 40 minutes the other day because she was running from inside the condo out to the front picking flowers and bringing them to her mom. She'd go pick a flower, bring it to mom, pick a flower, bring it to mom, pick a flower, didn't come back. My friend immediately ran out there looking for her, knocks on the immediate neighbor's condo. They answer, say, "No, we don't know where she's at." She goes to the playground where her older children are. She's not there. Her daughter's 4. So she immediately calls 911, gets the manager, the complex is activated, and 40 minutes later, her daughter is just there in the courtyard again, disheveled, crying, and said that the neighbors took her in their apartment.
Damn. Yeah,
And
this
that's an
dude
open
grabbed her
case
around the
now.
waist and was on his way out of the Target.
Yeah, you just you just don't take children.
No,
Period.
no. And I mean, we're most of us are parents here, and we know they can get away from you. We know that. We know that. Wist says, "I feel traumatized. We live 50 miles from Fruitland, and my grandson is the same age as Michael. It is terrifying.
Yes.
The whole community, everyone in Fruitland, are victims of those monsters." Perfectly said,
There
Wist.
is a such thing about community trauma and community victimization and uh oh, Tyler did not fail 2 polygraphs, JC Marty. You have misinformation. Tyler has never been a suspect. Tyler did not do anything to his son.
And even if he did fail a polygraph or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, so did Elizabeth Smart's uncle. So did JC Dugard's stepdad. So did Russ Faria. I'm not in the business of reading polygraphs. If they can't be used in court, they can't even be brought up in court, then I don't know why
Yeah.
anybody gets hung up on them. I mean, I get the
Well, I don't,
don't get me
they get
wrong.
hung up on it because the rhetoric that's out there in the social media, which is a whole different show. And even on that point, JC Marty, after those 2 polygraphs, more recently, before Chief Huff had the press conference and cleared the family, that week, the family all went to Idaho State Police headquarters and took retinol polys. And they all passed the retinol polys before that statement was made, including Tyler,
Mhm.
including Grandpa, including Brandy, all of them.
And I mean, I would say a retinol polygraph is better than some dusty blood
from what I
pressure
found out,
polygraphs.
it's what the state uses in their employment process here in Idaho, Brooks. It's one of the things they do at certain levels of clearance.
Mm-hmm. Well, and how in the hell? We can do a whole show on polygraphs. I did one about Dawn and Candace Wells last year, where they explain how they give them and what they're really looking for. It's a long process, and it's way above my pay grade, if you know what I mean. But when it comes down to it,
I
if
do.
the police don't care, then why would I care? Hell, we've watched trials together. Nothing ever comes up about a polygraph. Now, there's always someone going, "Oh yeah, they talk about them all the time in court." No, they don't.
No, they don't. No,
No,
they
they
don't. They talk about them all the time in the news, and they talk about them all the time on social media. And people who have an opinion of one side and have to stand in their rightedness of their opinions are the only ones talking about polygraphs.
I mean, how did Casey Anthony how did she pass hers?
Right? She passed hers. Several people have that I've questioned, and like you said, yeah, and that would be an interesting um show to have sometime, Brooks, just on polys.
Well, we'll do it. I'll screw it up, but that's okay. We have a bunch of people piling in right now. Let's take a minute to tell everyone hello the way we do. Woohoo! Good morning, everybody. Everybody got another good morning. All right, let's go. And I'm not going to go through the whole article. When the police presented to the home of Stacy and Sarah Wandra, also Brandon had lived there at the time. Adrian had lived there at the time. And they knew because they had someone tell them that Michael is not alive and that he had been buried in the backyard. Now, we don't know who told the police that, but it's obviously a credible enough tip for them to get a warrant, check it out, and approach her on the couch while she's playing with her dog and watching Netflix. This is what she told them. According to court documents, police forced entry into Wandra's home around 9:30 p.m. Friday. Now, this was back in November, where they found Sarah Wandra in the living room. Oh, I bet she was in all her glory. I bet she was shitting her britches, too. She was detained and read a copy of the search warrant. When I got to the portion that read murder, she said, "Did you just say murder?" multiple times. A Fruitland police officer wrote in the affidavit, she also said, "I've never murdered anyone." Officials said Sarah Wandra maintained that she definitely did not kill that boy. Can't even say Michael's name because she's already detached, okay? "I did not kill that boy." And she said, "The Most High God already told me who did it." She reportedly told police, "Oh, wow. The Most High God just told me that Stacy was the one that killed him and buried him in the yard of the neighbor's house." Okay. Now, he was not buried in the yard of the neighbor's house because they actually searched that yard. So before I get to the rest of it, look at this with me. As you know, last week when we did our show about Michael, we ended with Chief Huff and his press conference about the suspects. This is a follow-up from that press conference where they're saying they made contact with Brandon and Adrian, and they did search the other house that she referred to.
To follow the investigation into missing 5-year-old Michael Vaughn of Fruitland. Fruitland police say they have made contact with the men who may have information about Michael's remains. Last week, they asked for the public's help locating 30-year-old Brandon Shirtliff of Cuna and 32-year-old Adrian Lucien of Toledo, Ohio. That is Lucien there, and then that is Shirtliff. Both men were staying at the home of Sarah and Stacy Wandra on Red Wing Street when Michael disappeared back in July of 2021. Fruitland police say they are working closely with the Fayette County prosecutor as they continue to investigate. Fruitland police also announced today that they searched the backyard of a home next to the Wandras on Red Wing Street, but say they found no indication that Michael had been there. Police previously searched the home of Sarah and Stacy Wandra. This is video while that search was going on. Police Chief J.D. Huff says he is confident Michael's remains were on the Wandras' property but were moved.
Okay, so they weren't at the neighbor's property where Sarah said they were, but they know, and they're going to have to present this at trial when it all goes down the pike, they know that his remains were in the backyard of the Wandra's home. They know that. They know that. And they know they've been moved. They know that. How depraved would someone have to be? You grab a child, do something we can't even wrap our minds around. He's buried in the backyard, and then you move him, knowing that his mom and dad have been coming to every door in the neighborhood putting up his flyer.
Including yours.
Currently charged.
His mom knocked on your door.
However, Michael's body has not been found at this point. And police are still looking for any information about Michael's disappearance. If you have any, you're asked to contact the Fruitland Police Department at the number on your screen. That's 208-452-3110.
Okay, so even though Sarah tells the police when they came to the house to serve their warrant, and they basically broke the door down, she says God told her that Stacy did it and buried Michael in the neighbor's yard. Well, they already knew. So they excavated an entire backyard and found evidence that he had been buried in their backyard. We knew something was way, way up because in July of 2022, when Huff gave his press conference, he was asked a question. He answered it very poignantly and said there's multiple suspects. Then he came out at the next one and gave us the names. Here's just a refresher on that.
You know, I'm not going to really get into too deep on the persons of interest, but I will tell you there are multiple. Okay.
Are there any people that you interviewed or searched that have been non-cooperative?
Yeah, there have been.
He said, yeah, there have been. There's multiple persons of interest. So you already have a nightmare. Your child is not home. Your child is not in his bed. Your child is not at the breakfast table. And after a year's time, you hear there's multiple persons of interest. When asked later to show police where the boy was buried, according to the affidavit, she told the police of a spot near the entry of her residence and said Stacy had buried him in the backyard by the shed. Let's talk about the shed, because the shed came at such a convenient time. JC said, where is the 911 call audio? What do you mean? They don't release that stuff till trial. People were asking for all that stuff for Letitia.
You know,
and
I seem to think JC is a troll or something. Where is all this information coming from, and who is JC? Because these questions have been answered before. Brooks has gone over this information before. The 911 call, they have said publicly they're not going to release that. That will not come out until a court trial.
I know people have been asking for the CCTV, body cam, 911 call from the Idaho case too.
I know.
That
Well, it's
stuff,
none of your business.
that
Those
stuff
victims
comes out at
deserve,
trial.
yeah, those victims deserve integrity around their case, and it's none of your business what the body cam footage or 911 call says until it is presented in a court of law appropriately for the purpose of justice for Michael.
Mm-hmm. You know, and I appreciate the question because some people don't know because it's different in every state. Some of them, they put it right out. You know, I mean, because I know there was like all those people that were, you know, Team Letitia. And they're like, why can't we hear the 911 call? I want to hear her demeanor. People ask about it all the time in Summer Wells. Why can't we see the CCT from Sonic or Walgreens? They have to save all that. This is not for public consumption. This is to get a conviction.
No, and they're just, in Michael's case, they're just asking because they're curious, because they're like, oh, well, who made the 911 call? We don't believe it was Tyler. We want to, and then they also want to hear, you know, Tyler's demeanor. Well, Tyler's demeanor, as reported by the neighbors who witnessed Tyler and who were activated and helping Tyler and are still traumatized by Tyler's demeanor, will tell you that it was not a fun situation to witness. So I can only imagine what his demeanor was like when he called 911.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. So this is from one of the suspects, Sarah Wandra, saying that Michael had been in the backyard by the shed. Okay, so let's talk about the shed. I got off track. I thought that the shed got there a little too conveniently considering what they had going on.
Yes, the shed. I have been told, I mean, I would like to see and find it for myself, I guess, the permit for that shed, but the shed was put on the property. It was not an original build with the house. It was put on after. And allegedly, you know, it was put on by the homeowners, which are the Ramseys, Sarah's parents. So they applied for the shed build permit and purchased the shed and put the shed on the property. The shed became a focal point during the dig and search last November after they excavated, you know, several layers of the yard. The police stated publicly to the news that were stationed there that they were going to come out the next morning with specialized tools to go around the shed and to make sure that nothing was underneath the shed. So the shed itself was like a whole day or so of search time because of suspicions around it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And like I said, it was just a little too convenient considering they had a lot of unusual things going on the day that monkey disappeared. But we'll talk about that in a second. All right, Sarah Wandra. Police said at that point they had begun hand digging a portion of the Wandra's yard based on information received from Stacy. And they have that in quotes because this is her word, who had not been arrested or charged by Monday afternoon with anything to do with Michael Vaughn. He was already in jail, but this was for guns, drugs, assault and battery, stuff like that. And Sarah was also arrested at one time, but I guess she got bonded out. It wasn't clear when or why police had spoken with Stacy Wandra. Now, Stacy Wandra is Sarah's husband. Sarah Wandra was arrested and told police, God just told me that Stacy was the one who did it, adding that she knew the body was in the neighbor's yard because that's what Stacy just told me. Now, she had no way to talk to Stacy. She then corrected herself and said that's what God told her, according to the affidavit. She allegedly reiterated to police that she had nothing to do with it, nothing to do with Michael's disappearance. She said her husband buried Michael in the backyard by the shed, but wasn't the one who actually harmed the boy. She said instead that a man identified only as Adrian has been the one that had done it, and he was scared to tell anybody. Okay, well, the police are biding their time right now because, as we know, once they start the clock, it's a race against time. You arrest somebody and they're like, no, I want a speedy trial. Bring it on. And you're like, well, I'm not quite ready. There's nothing to do. Have a feeling old Brandon and Adrian are going to be picked up really soon, though. I just have a feeling. I don't mean today. I don't mean tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen like that because, see, this is not just one person that did something. This is a ring of people. Let me go through a little bit of a timeline because, like I said, we're talking about the suspects today. Let's start with March of 2021. This is Sarah Wandra. And she says she's the owner of Faith Taxi in Fruitland, Idaho. We're going to be rapidly growing. So please, if you have a car and are in the Treasure Valley, even all the way to Boise, I'm going to be needing possible part-time drivers for now. Work on your own availability, use your own car, keep your own proceeds, 1099. Be your own boss in a sense. We work a bit differently around here than your typical taxi. Please no messages. Please no messages on this post about the job. If you want to inquire, please call Sarah directly. All right, so in March of 2021, these entrepreneurs already had the setup for a trafficking business.
It surely appears that way. I know that the term trafficking's not really been used by law enforcement, in this case publicly, but it's one that we've used in discussions because when you have 4 named suspects by law enforcement, and they are suspects, that right there is a ring. So there's more than that. There's multiple involved. And that is definitely looks to be one of the businesses they may have used to, cover that.
Yeah, to move around. So now, July of 2021, she says she's the owner, manager, CEO of Sarah's Wash and Dry. So you bring Sarah your dirty drawers to her house, and she's going to wash them and give them back to you. Now, there's no prices. There's no per pound. There's nothing like that. But she has a wash and dry. So we've got the taxi service going around, and now we've got people coming to the house dropping off the laundry.
Wow. It does, yeah, just to me, it does feel like code of some kind. It's odd when you look at it, but she doesn't seem to be someone she's a few sandwiches short of a picnic basket anyway.
All right, so we go to the day before Michael Vaughn disappeared. Stacy Wandra, who was her husband, made this Facebook post. Now, you guys know we have a lot of cases where people use their Facebook posts as somewhat of an alibi and a cover. Well, the
Correct.
day before, he said, I'm feeling really worried about my wife, Sarah Ann Wandra. I brought her to the emergency department in Ontario, Oregon. She's not feeling good at all. She's having a lot of pain in her side of her stomach. Please be praying for my baby that she feels much better. I love you, baby. Feel better. The next day, Monkey went missing.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, Monkey went missing. Now, obviously, the police have all the investigative tools. I don't. And they already know if she was really in that ER. They already know it.
Right.
So the day after Monkey disappeared, her husband, Stacy Wandra, posts an article about Monkey.
Sick.
Then on August 1st, he changes his profile picture to that of Michael Vaughn. This was his profile picture. That's Michael Vaughn.
You know, and considering that they were traveling all kinds of places and has his picture as a profile picture, I look at this now and everything I've learned about trafficking rings, you know, they do this sort of thing as a way to advertise.
Mhm.
So putting Michael's picture could be allegedly a signal to their rings, you know, that they have this child.
They give signals.
They give
August
signals.
12th, that's her and Stacy. They went out to have a big old hamburger. That is Sarah and Stacy Wandra. Now, to give you a little bit of a backstory, Sarah wanted Brandon to give her a baby. I think we can all agree that aerodynamically, it was probably a little impossible for Stacy to do it. But she wanted Brandon to give her a baby. And suddenly, Michael Vaughn is missing on July 27th. But they make up this, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I don't think they're telling the truth. I don't think she was ever in the ER the night before, because she had all kinds of energy on the 27th. She was at Popeyes, Applebee's, the mall, supposedly out looking for Michael, at the river, driving around.
Well, according to Brandon, anyway, according to Brandon's infamous interview on that other channel. And someone asked in chat if we know if that's picture of Michael that Stacy has is a known pic from Brandy and Tyler. And that's been asked before because people have speculated that it was one that maybe Stacy took of Michael. And I want to clear that up, that yes, it is a picture from before from his family. It is one that was on one of their Facebook pages public. So Stacy went to their Facebook page and got that image, because at the time that he changed it to his profile picture, that image was not, you know, widespread. It was not the one taken for the posters, and it was not being used on anyone. Stacy went to their Facebook page and copied that picture and made it his profile picture.
So they were keeping up with what the family were putting on Facebook.
Yes.
Where are they looking? Where are they at? And they were watching that. All right, so they go on August 12th to have a hamburger. Now, this is after he had changed his Facebook profile picture to that of Michael Vaughn. 6 days later, we're in the hospital again. Now, let me tell you something. Before Michael went missing, and after they got back from getting this dog in Texas or New Mexico, whichever state it was, because I don't know for sure, but they went out of town to get a pit bull. And I don't mean out of town. I mean states away.
Right.
But there's 3 significant ER visits. But before the disappearance of Michael Vaughn and after the trip to New Mexico, there's no more. We're healthy now. So this is August 12th. Hey, everyone, please be praying for my baby, Sarah and Wandra. She's very sick in the hospital in Fruitland. She's asking for everyone to pray for her that she gets better. We need this beautiful girl healed in the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus.
So that's August 18th.
August 18th. Okay.
All right, so now we move on to mid-September. She takes a selfie with Michael's flyer behind her.
Right. And this is what's, you know, really super disturbing, because that flyer was left on her front door by his mother. 3 times she remembers knocking on that door as she went door to door, pushing Buggy around in a stroller, oftentimes, leaving a flyer on every single door every time. Because, statistically speaking, when children are abducted, they are found within less than a mile of their home, and she knew from police early on to focus on the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. And she did. And she did. And they did. They were looking all over. All over. Hang on.
Yes,
What did
all
Lone
over.
Wolf say? Lone Wolf, thank you for the
Lone
super
Wolf.
sticker. Lone Wolf said, all of those businesses are shell companies for illegal dealings. This is how the underground criminal enterprise operate. I agree
traffic.
because
Yep.
both, unless I was told wrong, both Stacy and Sarah, they live in this home that belongs to her parents. They each get checks for disability. So they don't they didn't have to work. And I'm not saying disability makes you rich or anything.
No. But if you don't have a mortgage payment, and who knows, the utilities probably aren't that high. And parents might cover the utilities. I don't know, Maybe they're getting state checks for being their caretakers as well. Because if they have disabilities, then her parents can apply and be paid to care for them. There's all kinds of things that could be happening.
Oh, I think there's going to be so much that comes out. Now we get to October 2nd. Sarah says Stacy's out of the hospital. Stacy had to go to the hospital in New Mexico. According to her, it's because of the altitude. The altitude. So he went to the hospital, and then she posted he's out of the hospital. Well, they get their dog, and they head back from New Mexico to Idaho. Do we know for sure where they got the dog? Was it Texas or New Mexico?
We don't know for sure because, like you said before, it was just they went somewhere down there to get that dog. We don't. No, we don't know for sure.
No, and they popped back up with the dog and put that all over Facebook. All over. All right, so we have 3 hospital visits between July 26th and October. 3. And these are around significant dates if you really want to know the truth.
They are.
All right, now we get to this. Now, she supposedly is talking about public schools, but watch out. You are walking into traps. Guard your children. Take it from me, I promise.
Take it from me.
Then we get to March 12th, 2022, because things really calmed down with them between November and March. They were posting a lot of stuff about Jesus. Brandon didn't have much to say. Adrian's not a big social media user. It just kind of went back to the same old, same old. But on March 12th, she said Liberty Taxi was just stolen from me after it was given to me by the same man. Now, as you remember, I put the post up. How can you steal the taxi business when you're telling people to use their own car's insurance and use a 1099, use your own shit and make money for me? Or I might have some errands for you.
Correct. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it was stolen, and you're telling people to use their own stuff? After it was given to me by the same man who gave it to me for literally no reason. Has anybody ever given anybody a business for no reason? Anybody? Here you go. I got this money-making idea. I've got this money-making business. This is too much money for me. I got to give it to you.
Yes.
And you gave it to me for literally no reason. If you need a taxi in Ontario or all around, you need to call. She puts her number out. for Ontario and surrounding areas based out of Fruitland, or call another number. We service from Huntington to Mountain Home. New taxi name is Faith Taxi LLC. I'm currently working on getting on Google, and so I'm not listed yet. Please spread the word.
Please spread the word. Yeah. It's just so weird. And yeah, I agree with everyone in chat that it's just definitely a cover. Lots of questions about how can she have businesses and be on disability. That's the point. There's just a lot of questions around that. And then, yeah. Oh, I wanted to answer. Somebody said that they were just joining. Yes, they dropped charges on Sarah. She was released from the Idaho State Mental Hospital into Payette County Sheriff custody a while ago, and she's currently being held there on unrelated charges. She's still a suspect.
She's still a suspect. Stacy's a suspect. Adrian's a suspect. Brandon's a suspect. And they asked the judge to dismiss the charges without prejudice. They can pick them up anytime they want. But it could also be a bargaining chip that, hey, your gun, drugs, and beating up on Stacy, that's not going to put you away forever and a day. This situation with Monkey could.
Well,
so we'll take this off the table if you tell us more information. Find Summer's truth. Does law enforcement have proof that Monkey was in their yard? Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Chief Huff said in press conference, or maybe it was when he was standing out at the curb talking to news, I can't remember, but one of them, he did publicly say they have evidence that Michael was buried and later moved from the yard.
And also, we haven't gotten to Brandon yet. I'm going to go ahead and put Brandon up because it's in our timeline. This was March 24th, 2022. Sarah says, friend Brandon with our dog Oakley. Okay, friend Brandon claims to not know anything about this, but friend Brandon is a suspect.
Yes.
And he said that he got the hell out of Dodge, doesn't know what's going on, but he's sleeping on their couch. Who in here is good enough friends with somebody to put their ass on a dog's face and lay on the couch and go to sleep?
Well, and isn't there maybe I don't know if you have it handy, a picture of Brandon and Stacy physically standing in front of one of their businesses, being like, hey, me and my friend opened a mechanic shop or something.
And then they had the lube business.
That, yes, right around that time, and he was in that picture. So Brandon, also, if you go pull the documents on Stacy's gun charges and read about that, when Stacy went to the gun shop or pawn shop or wherever he went to sell the guns that he was charged and now was convicted of, it states in there that he went with his friend Brandon.
Of course he did. Christina said, why is Sarah putting that online anyway? Brandon, why post this picture? Well, she wanted Brandon to give her a baby. And
according to him, yeah.
According to him. And all of this is according to the criminals. Look at the name of the channel. Crime, crime line, and lies. Because criminals lie. They don't make it easy on the police. They make them work for that 40 grand a year.
They do.
They make them work for it. So according to Brandon, she was trying to get after his junk to have a baby. Okay, he wasn't going to do it. All right. Now, this is a picture of somebody in their own living room. See, he's comfy.
Mm-hmm.
He lives there. He lives there. You go to someone's house to visit. You don't just go and put your ass on the dog's face and curl up with a blanket and take a nap.
I think there was another picture as well of him awake and standing near that couch, and you could see all kinds of bags and boxes around it, and it appeared as though that couch was his bedroom.
Oh, I think the couch was his bedroom. He said he had dinner with her and Stacy every night. And if we go back to the article, what we heard that she told the police, that's in the probable cause, and this is just an article. I don't have the probable cause, it's sealed. She blamed her husband, Stacy. They're divorced now, I believe. She blamed Adrian, but not Brandon. And Brandon's the one she wanted to give her a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget the hospital visits, because these are around important dates. There was no hospital visits before Michael went missing. And when they got back from getting their dog, there was no more hospital visits, because they post everything on Facebook. I'm not saying Facebook is a legal document,
Right.
but we know their pattern of behavior. All right, so this is March 24th, 2022. Now, a few days after this, there is her and her Bowie Bear looking forward to their anniversary. God bless you, babe. Having a hubby and wifey moment. Love you, Bowie Bear.
Aw.
You are so handsome. I can't wait till our anniversary, if God allows us to make it. Well, God didn't, because they both went to jail.
Yep. They both went to jail.
JC, I've been wondering about this myself. The babysitter supposedly moved to California. Can anyone verify that?
Well, yeah,
Does
I
she
can
even know the
answer.
Wandras? Does she know them at all?
I can answer to what I do know about that, Brooks. As far as I know, there's been no ties of her to the Wandras. No. She herself at one point publicly stated, and all of her supporters publicly stated, that she had to move from the state because she was being harassed, and she claimed she couldn't walk down the street without being called a kidnapper. I've heard this is true. It's a very small town around here. People have their opinions. I mean, people would walk right up to Brandy and Tyler while they were working at Albertsons and tell them their opinions. So I believe her when she says people scream kidnapper at her. I don't believe that she was ever in California, because just days after saying that, she was in the bar with one of her children in Payette. And allegedly has, reunited with her husband and is currently like living together with him. So she's just weird. She's never been named as a suspect. She's just, I would say, a suspicious character. I mean, everything she's done from day one has been sus. She continues to, be suspicious in her actions. Things that her husband has said around town has been suspicious and reported to police. But as far as publicly from the police, yeah, she's not tied to the Wandras. She is not an official, as far as I know. I mean, I don't know if she's been cleared. Nobody but the family's been officially cleared. Not even Brandon or Adrian have been cleared.
Nope, they have not. Snow said, how far will state let someone plead the fifth? All the way to the end. They never have to say a word.
Nope.
It's a constitutional right. You never have to say a word. They get probable cause. They get an arrest affidavit. They might take an indictment to a grand jury. Some states do that. Some don't. And then they go from there. It's the state's job to figure everything out.
It is. I mean, the burden of proof in any case, whether it's a traffic ticket or a crime of trafficking, the burden of proof is on the state. They cannot accuse someone, and that's a right that we all have, and we should all uphold in this country, because otherwise we can all just be accused of whatever the heck they want without recourse. So the state
to get it off their desk. Yeah, we have to do that.
Yeah. You know, they just shuffle it away, you know, and they're not doing that to Michael. You know, Chief Huff has said, you know, you cannot take one of our community's most vulnerable members and get away with it. We will piece this together and we will find everyone involved. What about the neighbor's yard? They did not dig up the neighbor's yard. So the neighbors directly next to the Wandras are the Starkeys, and they are both convicted SOs. And police have said to date that they have been compliant and they're not suspects. What they did do is go over their yard with specialized tools like ground sonar and stuff like that that detects if there's remains or a need to dig. And they cleared the yard and publicly said that they found nothing there. The second location where they dug at was Brandon Shirtliff's mother's house in Kuna, Idaho.
And they got a hit there.
They got a hit there, according to her interview with KTVB. I don't even call it an interview. According to her Facebook Messenger conversation with a reporter, because she wouldn't pick up the phone, they smelled a leaky toilet and found poo-poo in her crawl space, and that's what caused them to dig. But, you know, the reporter did their due diligence and found out that cadaver dogs are not going to hit on poop. So there was a scent or something in that, but that was not publicly stated by police, only by Brandon's mother, Tina.
And the Starkeys are being compliant. The day of Michael's disappearance, Dorothy Starkey did post that she needs prayers for a friend of hers in West Jefferson, Ohio.
Oh, that's interesting. In Ohio. Why is everyone from Ohio? You know, Adrian's from Ohio.
Is Adrian still in Ohio? Because I know,
as far as we know, Adrian is homeless in Toledo. Rumors that he's been calling around this area, Idaho, trying to find an Idaho attorney to represent him. And that was during and after the recent social media stuff that he started putting out. And before he kind of went quiet on social, because like you said, he's not really ever been like a big guy on social, which is crazy because he has like over 50 different social media profiles when they all get found and verified, but none of them have anything up there. It just kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier about how they use these platforms to communicate and queue and send out signals. So yeah, he's been out there, but he's still not talking either. He's not being compliant. We think he's still homeless in Toledo.
Well, he can stay that way. Another one of their friends who has not been named a suspect, who's on the screen. It's not the best picture, but this is Cesar Garudo. Okay.
Yes.
He also lived in the house. He drove taxi for them. He was in and out at the time Michael disappeared. In September of 2022, you may not be able to see it, and I have to make this PG for YouTube because you know how things are going on around here. I'm just going to preface this, okay? His charges in September of 2022 have the words lewd and child in them. You fill in the blanks.
Yeah, he's not a good person by any means. Several pictures of him in the car sitting right next to Brandon Shirtliff and Stacy and Sarah in front. I suspect, I mean, when we looked at the man walking, which I think law enforcement said they've identified the man, or I don't know, but the man walking by the splash pad definitely looks like it could be Cesar.
It does look like Cesar, the same frame, the whole 9 yards. And him walking by the splash pad the day that Michael disappeared by himself with no kids. He wasn't in the splash pad. He wasn't getting water on him.
Nope.
He was walking around. He was doing damage control. This is truly a ring. It's disgusting. And they've been working on it for a long time. We haven't even gotten to what Brandon has said about the day of. Okay, Adrian has talked to a few people. I know he reached out to another creator that said, call the police with this information. So there's a couple of suspects that want to talk, but they're in different states and they have attorneys. We all know what that means. So they're not going to say anything to law enforcement.
Well, they allegedly have attorneys. I mean, I don't know if they've actually retained anyone. I mean, if you're homeless and couch surfing, can you afford an attorney? I know Brandon's mother, Tina, said that they have one, but I don't know that that's actually fact, or if they just called and talked to someone, or they have a neighbor that, gave them some advice or something. I think a lot of people like to throw out that word, my attorney said, and I have an attorney, when in fact they don't.
Attorneys are really good about getting a hold of the police saying, don't contact my client anymore.
Yeah, they are.
That's their job, even if they're assigned by the state, a public defender or whatever. All right, so now you're going to have to explain this video because this is Adrian. Give me a second.
Okay.
Tape na produção.
I'm going to play it again and look at what the comment says. And that comment is from Adrian. You go ahead, Lana.
I don't have the comment in front of me directly, but I think it was the one where he was accusing or saying something to the effect of, you all are going to get caught or something, correct? Or why don't you read it first and then I'll explain the video.
Okay.
Tape na produção.
He says, dumbass, I told you you're going to get caught. We're talking about a little boy here.
Mm-hmm. That's all that one said. Okay. So recently, Adrian has been reaching out to another creator, like you said, wanting to give information and chat, and that creator, told them go to the police, and he's put some things out on his own on his own TikTok that he had up for a minute. And then he also sent information to this creator saying that, he had nothing to do with anything. He, is claiming innocence of knowledge and involvement. At the same time, he turns around and says that he has information that he would be willing to dispose of if he were to be paid. And he states that he did not even know the Wandras, that that person holding the guns in that video, whose name is Alexi and lives out of Twin Falls, that Alexi connected Adrian to the Wandras to rent the room there. And so when that information was given to me, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I went right to, because Adrian put all over his social Alexi's Instagram handles, everything. So, and this name had never been brought up, right? I'd never heard this name. And so I go right to their Instagram. I send Alexi a direct message with the messages from Adrian. I was like, hey, your friend, this guy is saying this, and you need to call Fruitland police, and, answer these questions. And Alexi, within minutes, saw my message, blocked me, and then completely changed his Instagram handle.
Mm-hmm. There's so many of them.
So
We're
this
not
is
done
one.
hearing about suspects. We're not
No,
done
we're
hearing
not
about
done.
suspects.
We're not done at all. We're not done at all. So yeah, so that is fishy. It's weird. It's odd. I mean, when he did that, I was like, whoa. So of course, like I sent that to the tip line, but all the information that Adrian sent to, and there was a few people online that he reached out to. It wasn't just the one creator. And like I said, multiple attorneys' offices that we know he is trying to reach out to. So I doubt Adrian actually has an attorney, because I know he's been calling around here trying to find one. So I think Adrian's trying to bring information. I mean, it's like I want to believe he's trying to bring information forward, but is scared. Maybe, of course, because of these rings, because who's above them? Who's above these four? That's definitely a fear that they most likely have. But it's clear that Adrian's trying to find a channel that he feels safe enough to bring information forward. He's just clearly not willing to call Chief Huff and give it directly.
And that would be, I'm not sympathizing with Adrian, but that would be a little intimidating. All right. So the day after Michael disappeared, Sarah posted this on TikTok.
I think it's infoliated.
There is now, because I just made that shit up.
Babe, what'd you say?
I feel exfoliated.
Exfoliating is exfoliating your skin.
Oh, well, I feel infoliated then.
There's no such thing as infoliated.
There is now, because I just made that shit up.
Who needs to take a TikTok of their husband scrubbing down their body?
Gross. Some of their stuff is just weird. It is just odd. I don't know. I don't have words for that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe Brandon could tell us.
Mm-hmm. Susie Sue said scrubbing what off?
Ugh.
Absolutely disgusting. I couldn't wrap my head around it when in July of 2022, Chief Huff said, we have multiple persons of interest. And I'm like, what? Multiple? I almost passed out.
That was a hard one for me as well. As well as it was for Brandy and Tyler, who was standing next to him when they heard it. Sometimes there's information that they are given prior to the press conferences, and sometimes they experience it with the rest of us. And that was one of those moments where they were standing in front of cameras, experiencing that information with the rest of us, and learning that their own neighbors, in the neighborhood, essentially, because if people are non-compliant and persons of interest, well, you're talking about the subdivision that you live in. These are your neighbors.
Where you're at. Exactly.
Exactly.
Where you're at. Where you're at. All right, now we're going to get to Brandon. And at any point, I need to stop and anyone has a question. We haven't heard from Maud yet. She's muted.
Yeah, who is Maud?
Hi, ladies. I'm here. I'm just listening in.
I saw a few people like, who's the gray box person in chat? Hello, thank you for being here.
Of course.
Is there anything that you want to add, Maud?
No, not at this point. Just see, I hope Brandon comes on. I mean, Adrian sure has a lot to say, so
Me too. Let me check my Facebook. Hang on. They're more than welcome.
Oh, that's funny. So I thought that too. So after a while of Maud not saying anything, I was like, maybe Maud's just a mod. I thought the same thing, Snow.
Hang on one second before I get to that. I'm going to put this picture up. This is Caesar, who, as I said earlier, has charges from September of 2022 for lewd with children. This is Caesar in their backyard in June of 2020. See, this ring started way before Michael went missing. And these people are secretive. They watch each other. They start businesses. Everything we're seeing. Yeah, there's Caesar. All right, so this is Brandon in his own words, and he is more than welcome to come on this channel, and I know everybody will treat him with respect. I know everybody will be super nice to him. This was a clip that Navalis got from another conversation. Navalis is a friend of this channel, so I'm going to play it. I'm going to play the whole thing. It's only 3 minutes long. And just listen to what he says.
Okay, so earlier that day, I spent the night there because we came in towing my car from my mom's to their house. So we woke up and had breakfast and watched TV and coffee. And then we went, me and Sarah and one of our other friends that was there visiting for like a week or so because he came in from the airport.
Okay, so the other friend that came in from the airport would be Adrian, I'm gathering.
From what I believe, yes. They picked Adrian up and went to Applebee's, I think was the next stop.
Well, they got all kinds of stops that day, but he spent the night there the night before. Now, he doesn't mention Sarah in the ER. We all got up and had breakfast together. There had been someone there who'd been hanging out for a week because he had been picked up from the airport. I'd love to know how these people find each other. I'm scared to know.
He was Adrian, and he had like kind of an afro. And we went and did kind of a YouTube video that day where we were trying to make music and kind of like a car crash scene. And we were hanging out with him doing that earlier. And then after that, me, Adrian, and Sarah went to Applebee's.
All right, so we're just a little bit into this. Adrian had been there for the previous week. According to Brandon, take it with a grain of salt, he spent the night the day before. He knows exactly what day he's being asked about. He's being asked about the day Monkey disappeared.
Yeah, and a couple of people in chat are saying, why are people flying, traveling, etc.? The reason why, according to Adrian, why he was flying up to Idaho was to visit his child in his own messages. So that's why he claims no involvement. You know, he just was coming up. Somebody connected him to these people to rent a room, and he was just there renting a room to come up and visit family. Allegedly.
I think there's a lot of Craigslist stuff going on because if you go through their Facebooks, they've always got some ad on there that they've been looking at from Craigslist. That's just a guess. All right, so they're going to go to Applebee's.
Where we dropped him off there after me and Sarah got a chicken sandwich and a soda pop over there at the Popeyes. Sarah took me to...
Okay. So they drop Adrian off at Applebee's. Sarah takes Brandon to lunch at Popeyes. Now, mind you, according to Stacy, she was in the ER the day before. I don't think the ER happened. And I don't think Adrian was dropped off at the Applebee's. Adrian was dropped off at the mall.
Right, because as I explained in a previous live with you, and when you were talking, we talked about this before, because the way Brandon delivers that interview from the hot tub and talks about their day, it sounds like they're just running around the same town. However, they're not. They're going to get, Applebee's is in Nampa. in front of a mall, in a mall parking lot, which is, 35-40 minute drive from Fruitland. And the location that he was claiming they were going to get water, which we can get to in a minute, is an hour, 15-minute drive from Fruitland, and another, so another 30-40 minutes from Nampa. So they were driving all over the valley, not like hopping around one little town.
Another realm said trying to make alibis. Exactly. They were also on the hunt for a child. They truly were. My God. So he mentions we got up and we had breakfast. He got there the night before. They get up and they have breakfast. So this perverted escapade went on all day long.
The lunch over at Popeyes, and she was going to buy a sandwich for me, Adrian, and her, but he said, my family's here, I want to see them, so I'm going to go to Applebee's and go over here and have dinner with them, or lunch with them real quick, and then give me a little bit of time to do that, and then you guys come back and get me. We did that, and in the meantime, me and Sarah were bored just kind of driving around the mall, and we didn't know what.
Just kind of driving around the mall. And it's been mentioned on this show many times that's what would you call it? Nampa,
Idaho.
Nampa. So he said we were just driving around the mall. So they drop off Adrian at an Applebee's. I guarantee he didn't have any riblet dinner. And they're driving around the mall because they're the getaway car, and it was his job to grab a child.
That's what I suspect as well. I would definitely love some clarification on that from anyone that was in the car. Especially because, what was brought up later is, this is July 2021. So we were smack in the middle of COVID shutdown. Somebody looked up, I haven't done it myself, but it's out there that this mall and Applebee's were closed.
In 2021, you guys had over a year shutdown?
I don't know, but that's what they were saying. So
ours was just for a few weeks in 2020.
So some baby back ribs. That's Chili's. I want my baby back. Yeah. So why drive around the mall? Because allegedly, this is where, it's where you can find kids. Kids go to the mall of all ages. Little kids are with their parents. The parents look away. I mean, that's how Adam Walsh disappeared from a Sears. Older teen children are running around. They might have their parents there, but, when my kids were like 12 to 14, we go to the mall, they'd be like, Mom, we'll see you later, and we're all both still in the same mall, but my kids wanted to go do their teen thing, and so they can find children there. You can find children around a mall.
Let's go back a little bit because this really is important. The truth is in here somewhere.
We did that, and in the meantime, me and Sarah were bored just kind of driving around the mall, and we didn't know what to do, so I drove back over to my house to get a water bottle and fill it up with water to bring back over to their house because I didn't like their water. And then during that time.
Okay, so they're out and about. Convenience stores are open. Grocery stores are open. But he had to go all the way back to his house, which is about an hour and 15 minutes away, to get a water bottle.
Well, from the mall, Cuna is about 40 minutes. It's an hour, 15-minute drive from Fruitland. So if they're at the mall in Nampa, and you have good traffic, 30 minutes to go from the mall to Cuna to get good water, because he doesn't like the water at the house, which also doesn't make sense because, you're right there at the mall. There's gas stations. Why would you be going back to the house to get water anyway? You can stop and get one or fill up a cup for free. I mean, that's what I do. I take cups into the gas stations. I'm running around and fill up with water all the time.
You can boil it. You have other options than going 40 minutes out of your way to get a water bottle. I mean, on no planet does that make sense. Now, I understand we're not dealing with our usual cast of characters, but there's so much deflection and confusion in these stories. The truth is in there somewhere.
Time after that, we came back to the mall and we picked up Adrian, me and Sarah, and then all three of us, Sarah, Adrian, and I, we hopped in the car and we went back to the Fruitland house.
All right, so he goes and gets his water bottle from his mama's house. Then they go back to the mall and pick up Adrian. Not Applebee's. They go back to the mall and pick up Adrian. And then from there, they go to the Fruitland
house.
And the Fruitland house is the home where Michael's remains, law enforcement knows, were buried in the backyard. Level-headed said, so now they picked up Adrian from the mall, not Applebee's. How long is everybody to eat at Applebee's?
I don't know. I worked at Applebee's during college for 4 years, and I can tell you, you know, as a corporate restaurant, the table service, they wanted us to flip that table in 45 minutes. They wanted us to get you, you know, fed and out. That is, you know, valuable real estate to the server and to the company. You need to eat your food and get. So an hour, I mean, at most, that he could be sitting with this, I don't know, a couple hours if they're having drinks and stuff. But I don't believe Adrian actually met his family at Applebee's. I don't believe he was coming to Idaho to see a child of his or visit family. I believe he was coming to Idaho to meet Brandon.
To meet Brandon, to meet Stacy, to meet Sarah. They had to meet Caesar. To meet many people. All right, so he got picked up from the mall, not Applebee's, but the whole idea of dropping him off at Applebee's was so he could eat with his family. So from there, they drive around the mall for a while. Okay, then Brandon decides he wants a water bottle, and they drive 40 minutes out of their way to get a water bottle. Then they drive 40 minutes back. Now, this is after they drove around the mall for a while. No. Listen again.
We came back to the mall and we picked up Adrian, me and Sarah, and then all three of us, Sarah, Adrian, and I, we hopped in the car and we went back to the Fruitland house. I think it was around like 6 or 7 at night. We were in that little 2016 Toyota Corolla.
So they go back to the Fruitland house between 6 or 7 at night. What time did Monkey go missing?
Officially, the timeline has been released that he went missing between 6:40 and 7 p.m.
And they were at the Fruitland house between 6 and 7 p.m. We have a 20-minute timeline. And unless you have help and a place to take someone, nobody in that house in 20 minutes could do anything to Michael, cover it up, and I mean in lots of ways. Call your wife, call 911. Sometime during that 20 minutes, an app was used to order pizza. In 20 minutes, and you're seen outside yelling for your son, looking for your son. So they say between 6 and 7.
Like 6 or 7 at night. We were in that little 2016 Toyota Corolla. It's a blue one. It's
a blue one. It's a blue one. He already knows about the white car they've been looking for.
It's a blue one. I think I missed that before. So blue Toyota Corolla. Well, that's not the that's not the blue car that was caught on camera. I think when they put out initially the white Pilot and the other vehicle, I think it was like a Dodge something, and it was cleared. That's interesting.
Blue Toyota Corolla.
Asked them earlier that day if we could use their pickup to go to my house, my mom's house, and get my Mercedes Benz and tow it back over there so I could work on it if I was going to be hanging out over there doing the taxi business. Yeah.
All right, so now we're at 6, 7 o'clock at night, and they need to go to his mom's house after they've already been there to get a water bottle. But now they're getting a truck to go and tow his Mercedes Benz over because, you know, Brandon is a German engineer. He can fix it. If you got to tow it, it's not drivable. So now we're at 6, 7 o'clock at night. We got to go back to his mom's house, even though we've already been there, and tow this car back. How does this make sense?
All right. It's confusing to me as well. I don't know because, again, that's a round trip, a 2-hour drive. Well, and it's going to be more because you're towing a broken vehicle. So you're going slower when you come back.
100%.
Yeah, I remember going to the gas station. We were probably...
And he was doing it for the taxi business. Don't forget. He was doing it, his Benz, for the taxi business. He's got to tow it to do the taxi business.
At the gas station, filling up like right at 7. We came back over there and then
We were at the gas station filling up right at 7. Well,
I wonder which gas station that was.
Me too.
Because early on there was a suspicious statement the babysitter sent out to someone with a story of Michael being spotted at a gas station and having soiled himself. I think Level has that screenshot somewhere. But I'd be curious to know which gas station they were at. Not saying they had Michael with them. If anyone's listening, I'm just that's the first thing that came to mind. Is there was a supposed alleged sighting that's never been verified.
Lone Wolf, thank you for the super sticker, said, is there another victim out there that hasn't come forward during that timeline for the water bottle? This needs to be checked out with missing databases. I agree. I'm pretty sure these sickos had a trial run at some other point.
Right as soon as we were getting the car back to the neighborhood, the whole neighborhood was on high alert looking for the little boy, Michael Vaughn. And they said he went missing right that day earlier, right before we came in with the car we were towing.
Okay, so they're there between 6 and 7. They're fueling at 7. So they get back and the whole neighborhood is out looking for Michael. So where's Michael? Because they left the area and came back. Listen again.
To the neighborhood, the whole neighborhood was on high alert looking for the little boy, Michael Vaughn. And they said he went missing right that day earlier, right before we came in with the car we were towing. And then right as soon as that happened, I went out and tried to look for the kid with Sarah. We got in her little Toyota car and drove to the gas station.
Back to the gas station. So him and Sarah come back. The neighborhood's on high alert because I don't know exactly who went with them except for him and Sarah. Neighborhood's on high alert and they go back to the gas station, but they're supposedly going to help look for Michael.
Right. Because they came in and someone stopped them, and that's the first time they ever heard of his name.
Yep. According to him.
I went out and tried to look for the kid with Sarah. We got in her little Toyota car and drove to the gas station and drove around after we got out of the pickup, and then tried to look in the field to see if he went down by the river or if he could be out just wandering lost. And, that's what hit my mind first.
Did anybody, because I've never heard, and I've talked to lots of people that were out searching for Michael, nobody ever saw Brandon or Sarah out by the river or walking through the field or anything like that looking for Michael.
No, I don't believe they went out and were part of the search, and that could be verified. There was a lot of people that were out. There was a lot of news cameras already on site capturing footage. So any of this that he's saying, you know, could be verified easily.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was me and Sarah. We went to the gas station, got some milk, and then
who, after a long day, you're towing a car, you're trolling the mall, you drop off this dude with an afro named Adrian at Applebee's, you go to get a water bottle, then you decide you have a missing boy in the neighborhood, you decide to go to the gas station for milk. You have all this going on, but you go to get milk.
Yeah, I always found that interesting. You buy milk for a child, exactly.
River, or if he could be out just wandering lost, and you know, that's what hit my mind first. And then from there, it was me and Sarah. We went to the gas station, got some milk, and then did this and that and came back. And then right when we got back, Carson had his pickup next door with a light bar on it. So I said, hey, we need to start this up and kind of go look in the neighborhood and the farmer field and the river. We got to go find this missing.
Well, if you're trying to find Michael, why did you go to the gas station to get milk? Why are you telling Carson, hey, we got to get out there and find Michael? You and Sarah just went to the gas station to get milk. You buy milk at the gas station, you might as well buy the cow. It's expensive.
Yes. And you come back and engage Carson, of all people, to go help you find a missing child? I mean, really?
Mm-hmm. But you have a missing boy out there. You've already got your famous water bottle, but you go back to the gas station. You pass the gas station, but you're at the gas station at 7 o'clock. Then you go and you're looking for Michael, and you decide to go back to the gas station to buy milk. No. No.
The gas station and drove around after we got out of the pickup, and then tried to look in the field to see if he went down by the river or if he could be out just wandering lost. And, you know, that's what hit my mind first. And then from there, it was me and Sarah. We went to the gas station, got some milk, and then did this and that and came back. And then right when we got back, Carson had his pickup next door with a light bar on it. So I said, hey, we need to start this up and kind of go look in the neighborhood and the farmer field and the river. We got to go find this missing person report that just came out, you know?
Sarah Wandra, the woman charged with failing to...
Ridiculous. Out of all the places, if you just had to have a glass of milk, you go to the gas station? No, it's because they were in a hurry. Ridiculous. I'd like to know what else they bought at that gas station and what else they were buying that day. All right, he said a few more things that were put on KTVB.
Well, Fruitland boy Michael Vaughn disappeared from his neighborhood more than a year ago. And today, there are still so many questions surrounding what happened. Yesterday, in a news conference, Fruitland police revealed the identities of 2 more people who they believe have firsthand knowledge in Michael's abduction. And one of those people talked with a YouTube blogger just last week. Here's a look at some of that interview. Videos circulating on social media are shedding light on 3 of the 4 people Fruitland police named in connection with Michael Vaughn's disappearance.
It's actually really hard sometimes to be that vulnerable with people.
But who are these people? Just last week, YouTube blogger Jonathan Lee Riches talked with Brandon Sherliff about the then 5-year-old's disappearance. This interview came 5 days before police named Sherliff and Adrian Lucien as 2 people believed to have firsthand knowledge in Michael's abduction.
You ever hear Sarah or Stacy talk about the bonds or mention the bonds or say anything?
Never once. Not even. The only time I heard them ever mention the Vaughns is when they stopped the car that day and they said, "Hey, there's somebody that's missing in the neighborhood. His name's Michael Vaughn. Do you guys know him or know where he went?"
Okay, so we've already heard about their day. They got up, they had breakfast, went to the mall, Applebee's, 40 miles out of the way to get a water bottle, had Popeyes, went back to the Fruitland home, got a pickup truck to go and tow back a Mercedes-Benz for the taxi service. Then they said we had to look for Michael Vaughn, but we went to the gas station to get milk, then got a hold of Carson and said, you have to help us find Michael Vaughn. And then he's asked, have you ever heard of Michael Vaughn? Never, ever, ever, except one time we're driving through the neighborhood and they said, do any of you guys know about Michael Vaughn? Do you know where he's at? Who would ask any of their friends, do you know where this missing child is at? Who would ask that?
Bonds or mention the bonds or say anything?
Never once. Not even. The only time I heard them ever mention the Vaughns is when they stopped the car that day and they said, "Hey, there's somebody that's missing in the neighborhood. His name's Michael Vaughn. Do you guys know him or know where he went?" That was the first time that came up to my attention. And then, as far as I know, they both said, no, we don't know where he's at. Let's go help look for him.
Sherliff says he was with Sarah Wandra and Adrian the day Michael disappeared.
I was with Sarah that whole day and Adrian. And then Stacy was left home alone.
Last month, police arrested.
He said he was with Sarah and Adrian that whole day, but Stacy was left home alone. Do you guys know him or know where he went? If there's an Amber Alert around here or an endangered missing child, I don't call my circle of friends and say, do you have any idea where this child is? No.
Sarah Wandra for failing to report a death. She lived in the house on Red Wing Street with her husband, Stacy Wandra. The same house police excavated and searched for Michael. Stacy Wandra is currently being held in the Washington County Jail for unrelated charges.
Although the remains of Michael Vaughn were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property.
Based on evidence.
Based on evidence, we believe that he was abducted, he was buried, and later moved based on evidence. Lone Wolf, thank you. The milk means they had monkey and gives time. Oh, man.
So heavy. It's hard to look at the 4 faces and think about monkey and, against them. He stood no chance.
It's horrible. It is horrible. Poor Michael. Poor Michael. And they had been looking all day for a child to nab. They'd been working on this plan for months and months.
Based on evidence that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property.
During Thursday's news conference, Fruitland police said both Sherliff and Lucien were staying with the Wandras at the time of Michael's disappearance. Police say Lucien is believed to be floating between Ohio and California. While drinking beer and sitting in a hot tub in North Dakota, Sherliff also revealed the Wandras were religious or hid behind religion.
Hey, I thank God for you. I hope you say a prayer for me.
Like the whole time I was there, they just say, "Oh, we believe in God, and God tells me what we should do for the day and how to help people, and we believe in doing good to the community." So I don't know why they would go from that to getting caught with guns and then trying to run off with the story that definitely didn't happen in front of my eyes.
He also revealed he was not in Idaho at the time of the interview, but his family has a home here.
The police and the detectives and everything, they've been at my mom's house since I've been gone. They're beside themselves and just scared and freaking out.
As questions continue to surround.
And that is 100% Cheyenne. Cheyenne said someone had to help the Wandras. There's no way either one of them could use a shovel. No way. They'd pass out. They'd pass out. There's no way they could do that. No way. But they had help. Adrian was there. Brandon was there. I mean, Brandon hung around until March. There he is on the screen. He's happier than a clam in salt water. Look at him. He just snoozing on the couch. To the point Sarah takes a picture as if he's a 3-year-old and posts it on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't understand why he requested to come up today if he's not going to come up today. Honestly, Brooks.
I don't know. I will have to deal with that after the show. I didn't say who was going to come up.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm going to say it because I know he's just sitting there listening, and I'm not saying it to be antagonistic or start anything. As always, I just want them to bring information forward. And if there's something that needs to be said to help find Michael and he wants to come up and defend any of this, or explain these questions on this interview that are just really don't make sense to me. And I'm not going to attack him or Adrian, either of them, if they ever wanted to. I want to help the information come forward. And we've been talking for a while now, and it's not here. So,
Brandon, even if you just want to come into chat and we can go through the call again, I just sent him the link again to Facebook. And he is welcome to come in. Even if he doesn't want to come on panel, he can answer it in chat. He wants this done and over with and behind him.
Allegedly.
And nothing gets you a good night's sleep by having things off your shoulders and being able to rest.
Around this home where all 4 people stayed at one point, still no definitive answer as to what happened to Mike.
All 4 of them were in that home, and they have evidence that Michael was buried in the yard.
Yes, evidence. The word evidence is used. This isn't, anyone making this up to spin a story. This is what police, state police, FBI, Cold Case Foundation, all the several agencies, Idaho Search and Rescue, the cadaver dog agencies and their handlers. This is what everyone that was out there searching that home says. Evidence found that he was there in that home and that he was there buried in that yard and that he was moved.
And everyone's going to be respectful. Everyone's going to be nice. No one's going to attack. Just let him talk.
Well, that's the thing. And I know, Brooks, you said earlier that you invited one of the suspects on, and those were the words you used. But that's not, Brooks didn't reach out. This person reached out to her saying he wanted to tell his side and come on the show that we were already planning to do. And we want to listen. If he's not a suspect and he has information on the other people, please, like, this is what we've been saying for almost 2 years now to anyone. Please come forward. Please give that information so we can find Michael. And that's still what I'm saying to Brandon, to Adrian, to anyone that knows them. Please come forward. Now is the time.
The first to talk could be the first to walk.
Well, and he clearly knows that. I mean, you know, he's got some minor marijuana warrant, non-extraditable on him right now, you know, which really in Idaho isn't anything, but I think there might be a fear of being held on that, the way that Sarah's being held on unrelated stuff, you know, and I get that. And I'm not trying to be sympathetic to anyone that might have done anything, but I definitely want to be sympathetic to the fear that these people might be having who have information and how scary that is. I did a lot of research on reward funds when we were getting a lot of flack on social media for not fundraising for Michael's reward. And the research from NCMEC, from National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, says that rewards are claimed less than 2% of the time in abducted children cases, because you're trying to overcome the psychology of fear and apathy for money, and you can't psychologically do that. They won't do that. So less than 2% of the time, people overcome their fear for the reward fund. And that's really what it is the fear. And it's hard for me, it's unfathomable for me to try to weigh that fear against the fear Michael had, being taken from his family, you know. And yeah, we just want answers. And a lot of this stuff's confusing. We've gone over this interview with Brandon in the hot tub a million times, and it's more and more confusing every time we do it. So yeah, I have questions, but I won't even ask. I'll just sit and listen.
No,
Yep.
It's his story. He has to tell it. We don't know. We're not there. And the best thing he can do is just talk, you know. And if there's things that he forgot about the day, or there's things that he was confused about, we've all had, you know, days like that. I mean,
oh, that happens to everyone. I mean, that's something, honestly, just look at what's happened to Brandy. She's had her words twisted and studied, things that she'd say like, oh, well, you said 6:32 this time, and now you're saying 6:34, you know. And it's like, well, number one, information changed as the case evolved, right? And number two, you remember things more clearly, or you don't, as this goes on and you're working through this trauma. So yeah, there can be things that he very well could be remembering more clearly now than he did then. But yeah, I hope that, you know, he comes up.
Me too. Well, and if not today, maybe another day. Maybe he didn't like, you know, because it was a show about the suspects, you know, and you know what I said about the phone call, that it didn't make sense. I just kind of thought that would be a good way for him to come up and clear it up and say, no, it does make sense. Let me explain.
Right, because more importantly, this show was going to go on regardless. You know, we were going to do this anyway, and talk about the suspects anyway. And yeah, that is a great way. Your show is great. You just went through all the information we know to be fact. We went through some of the things we know that could be, you know, alleged, some of the things that have been put out on social by the suspects that are, you know, alleged statements at this point. And that's all we can do as Monkey's supporters and supporters of the family, is to continue to talk about him, continue to talk about the suspects and what's going on, and continue just to say, please come forward with information. If you have anything, whether it's Brandon, Adrian, Sarah, Stacy, anyone that knows them or knew them at the time could come forward. That's all we want.
I mean, they've already had a lot to say. They've had a lot to say.
They have.
Salem Slammer said, this is a chance for Brandon to be a good human and speak your truth. Exactly. Exactly. Well, he has seen the link 2 times. He got it at 8:18 Central, and he got it at 10:43 Central.
Mm-hmm.
And he's seen it each time.
Yeah, Snow, he did ask to come up. I know Brooks didn't clarify that, but I don't want her to get annihilated. But she did not seek him out. He wanted to come up. I'm not going to repeat or speak for her on the conversations that took place, but my gut feeling is that's what he wants, is he just wants her to repeat their conversations and isn't actually going to come up despite asking. But I don't know, that's my own speculation.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, he can tell his own truth. He can tell his own story, because me repeating what he said isn't going to help Monkey.
No.
So he needs to do the right thing, because I'm not going to make a mess out of any case. I have a lot of stuff I can say about behind the scenes on lots of cases, and I don't do it. Because that makes a bigger mess for law enforcement, because the next thing you know, their phone's blowing up with people going, did you get this? Did you get this? Did you hear that? Well, that's just me talking. He has to do this, or this is not going to go away.
No.
This is never going to go away. You lived in that home. Michael's remains, they know, were in the backyard. They took out DNA evidence from the inside of the home. The dogs hit on your mother's house, where you went to get a water bottle and went back over that day to tow a Mercedes-Benz for the taxi business back to the Fruitland house. This is with all this chaos going on this entire day, but you had to go out and get a jug of milk. Somebody put him in the backyard.
Somebody put him in the backyard. And no, to everyone in chat, Brooks will never repeat those conversations when he reached out to her to ask to come on. So there's not going to be any of that. I was just saying, speaking hypothetically, my own opinion is that it feels like him not showing today is because he's just hoping she'll be like, oh, Brandon called me, or Brandon said this, or Brandon said that, or, and that's not what's going to happen.
That's his
so
business.
That's his business. Whoever speaks first will get the deal. Exactly.
I wasn't there on July 27th. It's his to tell. Criminal Med said, who helped put the shed up?
I don't know who installed the shed or actually did the physical work of putting the shed in. All we know is that the permit was obtained by Sarah's parents, who own the property, and they more than likely bought the shed. So maybe the shed company, I've never purchased something like that. So maybe the shed company does the installation. That could be part of the shed purchase. Or maybe they all did. The people that were flopping at the flop house all help put the shed up. I don't know.
That could be it too. It could be one of those kits. And you've got all these, it's an open door policy at the house.
Yeah. No, his mom does live in Idaho, not in Wisconsin. She lives an hour from Fruitland. Brendan's mom does, in chat.
Because they all had a place to eat. They all had a place to sleep. They're all part of this ring for whatever reason. We went through the timeline of their crazy businesses. He's hell-bent the day that monkey disappears to go to his mom's house after he went there already to get a water bottle. He's hell-bent on going back up there to tow a car that doesn't work, to bring it back to Fruitland, to use it for the taxi service. Fix it in your mom's driveway and say, hey, I'm ready for work. Dispatch me.
Yeah. And to answer in chat, yes, originally when Brandon and Adrian, Sarah and Stacey were named as suspects, police stated that Adrian was in Ohio and Brandon was believed to be in North Dakota. When he did that hot tub interview, that was from his father's in North Dakota, but he's not there anymore. We know that he is in Billings, Montana. He's been there for a little bit. He's been putting his business card around parking lots looking for work. He put his business card in his profile looking for work. And so we know he's been in Billings, Montana for a little bit.
Crystal said, doesn't Brandon's grandma live down by the New Mexico border? I heard that as well.
I did too, that
heard
he's got
that
family
as
down there. So maybe they were involved as well. I don't know.
No, we don't know until he tells his story, because it's not going to go away and they're going to figure it all out. They're going to figure it all out. All right. Well, I'm going to close the show down.
All right. Well,
And
thank
see
you as
if,
always, Brooks, for having me on and continuing to keep Michael's story and his space out there and going. Look forward to the next live on Monkey, and thanks everyone as always for supporting his family and keeping his space out there. It's so appreciated.
Absolutely. And thank you for your tireless work, Lana, because you eat, breathe, and sleep this case.
Some days it feels that way. But you know, it's worthy volunteer work. Activism, I don't know the word you want to put on it. I definitely feel very close to this family now through this. And as always, my commitment has been to use my own resources to help bring information forward, to help find Michael. And we can do that through social media by spreading accurate information on the case and continuing to put updated flyers out there and talk about him. And hopefully that's enough pressure to the people that know something to come forward. And that's all I want to do to anyone listening, is I just want to help bring this information forward to the appropriate channels so Michael can be found and can be brought home.
And that's all we want. That's all we want. And for rings like this to get busted up with a quickness. A quickness. No child should have to worry about playing in their front yard, their backyard, walking to the mailbox, walking out by themselves to get into the car, going to explore the store and running off from their parents. They should never have to worry about that. And these people lay in wait just to find one unassuming child and grab them. I understand it's under 1%, but that's too much for me. That is too much for me. All right, guys, thank you for being here. I know it was a very heavy show. I know it was. I got it. And hopefully over the weekend, we can get together, do a members live to celebrate the channel's 2nd birthday. And over this weekend, it's going to be the 13-year anniversary of Kyron Horman's disappearance. We will be talking about Kyron Horman, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday. So you let me know what you guys want to talk about.
Hey, could we close the show out with Buggy's video by chance?
Well, I wasn't sure if I could play it on here because I put it on the members.
Well, I just got permission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, hang on. Because I just shared it privately. Okay, this is Buggy wanting to go to Monkey's house.
Oh, this is open. Uh-oh. Stick.
But it's Kurt.
I'm heading right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monkey can be so happy. Yeah.
You want to tell him happy birthday?
Happy birthday. I'm gonna go Monkey house. I'm going Monkey house today. I'm gonna get on now. I'm going Monkey house and get D for Monkey. These are like Monkey. Monkey will be so happy.
He'll be very happy, won't he?
We're gonna go Monkey house. Please, please, please. Monkey from now. What is it? Oh, it's open. Oh, it's open. Uh-oh. Stick.
But it's Kurt.
I'm heading right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monkey can be so happy. Yeah.
You want to tell him happy birthday?
Happy birthday. I'm gonna go Monkey house. I'm going Monkey house today. I'm gonna get on now. I'm going Monkey house and get D for Monkey. These are like Monkey. Monkey will be so happy.
He'll be very happy, won't he?
We're gonna go Monkey house. Please, please, please. Monkey from now.
Yeah.
Let's go to Monkey's house.
Yeah. We don't know where Monkey's house came from. She just started saying that recently. And she wants to go there. I know I mentioned last week that the family sees her talking to Monkey a lot. And so I wonder if, you know, that's where she's here in Monkey's house. She misses her brother. She misses him so much. They all do.
Misty said this family has been through enough. Yes, they have. Joy's trying to do her makeup and she can't because she's crying.
Oh, yeah. Hugs to everyone. Thank you for playing that. Thank you for sharing it. Yeah, this family just wants their baby back. That's all they want.
Thank you, Lana, for being here.
Thank you, Brooks.
Thank you for being here and going through all this. Because like I said, I know it is a tough, and dark subject. It's dark. It's dark. We can't find our kids for a few minutes in the grocery store. We're like, what the hell? You know, and you find them right away. But when you can't find them at all, and you find out all these peds had him in a house. Horrible. Horrible. Thank you, mods, for keeping it together today. Thank you to the new members. Thank you to the donations. And I will see you guys over the weekend. We'll do a members live and discuss like we always do. Have a great rest of your Friday. Check the members tab, and I will post the link for the members show. If I miss you over the weekend, then I'll see you back here on Monday morning. You're the absolute best. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's open. Uh-oh. Stick.
But his card.
And his right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monkey can be so happy. Yeah.
You gonna tell him happy birthday?
Happy birthday. We're gonna go Monkey house. I'm going Monkey house today. I'm gonna get on. Let's go Monkey house and get D for Monkey. These are like Monkey. Monkey will be so happy.
He'll be very happy, won't he?
We're gonna go Monkey house. Please, please, please.